What is reality anyway? Where do we go to find the definitive answers? A book? An expert? A political leader? I can't even say that with a straight face. Or do we have access to the secrets of the universe through self-inquiry? I don't know about having all the answers to everything, but I have certainly found so much truth for myself through the process of meditation. And though it can seem daunting at first, starting small with a little bit of guidance can really help you to cultivate a practice that can grow over time. And I would like to help you with that. I made you a free guided meditation, a simple 9-minute practice of cultivating gratitude, watching your breath. And from there, I believe you will open the door to discovering just how great and how eye-opening the power of meditation can be to give you perspective on things. Make sure that you grab that meditation that I created for you. You can visit me on Instagram at @TheJulieJo, that's TheJuliejo, to grab that free meditation for yourself. Let's get into today's talk. Welcome to Star Potential, a podcast where we explore the meaning of our existence while having a few laughs and sometimes tears through stories from the road of life. I'm your host, Julie Jo Hughes. As a stage performer, my life is quite literally about song and dance. I believe that life here on Earth is a playground for discovery, not a contest to be won. We ask questions together like, how do I evolve my consciousness? And how do you sing a passionate ballad when there's an old guy in the front row with his balls showing? True story. Stick around for these fun conversations. There's a funny thing about deep diving into spirituality, and that is the more knowledge you acquire, you realize the less you know. So the more I understand, the less I know. Let me explain this a little bit further. It's like the more awareness I can have on my existence, the nature of reality, the true essence of who I am, the more I'm able to see the beautiful complexity and mystery that is the universe. I see how everything is so inextricably intertwined. Everything in the universe exists in relationship to other things in the universe. We are undoubtedly all connected. Nothing exists outside of relationship to other things. So, therefore, the more I understand about how things work, the more I realize that there is so much that I don't know to be certain. The more I question things, the more I realize there is room for me to gain understanding. So I think one of the most humbling things we can do is begin to question. Just begin to question everything. This is the way that we can gain our own understanding, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how much you listen to podcasts, read books, go to religious gatherings or whatever. What you're hearing other people talk about is just their truth, their lived experience, and they're trying to limit that into a set of words that you might be able to relate to with your lived experience and your container of knowledge. But at the end of the day, nothing will be pure truth for you until you know it to be your truth through your lived experience. Before that, it's just an assumption that you're making based on someone else's experience, someone else's knowledge, someone else's lived experience and truth. Until we have found something to be true for ourselves, there is this little part of us that wants to question, is that absolute truth? How can we really know? And what I have found to be true is that the more I question and the more I allow myself to question, the more I am in peace with not knowing everything. I have spent the majority of my life seeking answers. I really like to know the definitive answer. I like to know where the parameters are. I like to know what is right and what is wrong, what is the good choice and what is the bad choice. And from there, I can make my informed and educated decision about which choice I want to make. For a long time, I saw feminine qualities like being the container, holding the space, not giving exact answers, the essence of things rather than the black and white. It's the gray, right? I saw those feminine qualities as weakness, and I didn't want to let myself expose too much weakness, too much feminine energy. But it was only in my darkness that I could begin to see vulnerability as not only strength, but it's actually a superpower. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to admit that we don't know, that could be just to yourself. It's not like you have to go on public display saying, I don't know the answer to this and I'm seeking the answer to it. It's really about in our everyday moments with ourselves. Can you admit to yourself that you don't have all the answers, that you have some questions about things? Sometimes that feels unsafe. When we accept a set of beliefs or things that are kind of societally accepted, when we just accept all of these things as truth for ourselves, it can be kind of ignorantly blissful, right? We just go on our merry way. This is the way everybody else does things, so that must be the way it is, and that must be what's right. But as we begin to question the way things have always been, as we begin to question different ways of doing things, we begin to question maybe major systems in our society, the way things are done and have always been done, that can feel really unsettling and really unsafe. One of those major pillars could be your belief system as far as this is just the low-hanging fruit here, okay? It could be religion. If you accept everything you've ever been told from a religion that you've always followed because that's who everyone around you followed, then you've never given yourself the freedom to find your own knowledge of what's true. You're just accepting someone else's lived experience of what's true for them. Now, I'm not saying that makes it wrong. It just doesn't make it your truth. And it is okay to have moments of questioning something that you have always just accepted to be absolute truth because you never thought to question it before. And when we begin to question these big pillars of who we are and our understanding of the essence of ourselves, the pillars of understanding of the nature of our reality, who we are and what we're doing here, if we can accept that that does feel a little scary and unstable, but be in peace with that, then we begin to open up the possibility of beginning to integrate our own personal knowledge of what's true and real. And you may come back around to the same belief system as what you were presented as a child when you didn't know any differently to question. But at least now it's your lived experience and it's your truth. And if we're never brave enough to question what's real and what's true, then I think we'll always have this little nagging question of, how do I know that that's real? How do I know what's true for me? Because I never dared to ask. I never dared to walk through it myself. It can feel lonely if you are questioning a belief system that perhaps your family, friends, people around you have all accepted to be their truth. It can be alienating. In fact, sometimes you even get kind of booted from the group in a way because you're the black sheep, right? Why aren't you just accepting and believing everything that the rest of us believe and accept? But the reward for walking through this experience on your own is that you have your own working experience of what feels true for you. And what I have found is that if I am accepting someone else's truth to be my truth, there's always a part of me that is questioning it. But if I have lived experience of something that I know to be my truth, there is no questioning because it's my truth. And that could change. That could evolve as I go through my life. I may evolve what's true and working knowledge for me, but it's my truth. And my truth can never be your truth. Your truth has to be your truth. So what we must do is create a space for ourselves where it is safe to express the things that feel unsafe. We must create an environment where we are free to express what we're afraid to express. That is something that I took from Rick Rubin, The Creative Act. It's a fantastic book, very poetic for anyone looking to understand their own creative nature or to explore your own creativity more. Now, what that can look like is journaling. It can be just meditation. For me, it has been creating an entire platform. I created a podcast where I question all these things on the air with you. I invite conversations that sometimes can be a little bit triggering. But for me, this is my creative exploration into finding my truth. What is the nature of my reality? What is my real world? What is reality for me? For me, I'm not afraid to do that publicly on this podcast, but I do recognize that for everyone that doesn't always feel safe, and sometimes maybe depending on the country or the place where you live, that might not be a safe thing for you to do. But if you can create some kind of a journal, can you have some kind of recording of your own thoughts? You know, there are so many patterns that I never saw in my life until I began journaling. And I began just free flow. Sometimes my journaling, this comes from a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, but we have morning pages. Some people also refer to this as, I think it's called free flow writing or something like that. But basically you just put the pen to paper and without any thought, you just let whatever wants to come out, come out. Sometimes I would have 2 pages full of, I don't know what to write. I feel tired. I'm kind of hungry this morning. I kind of just want another coffee. That would go on for a page and a half before something kind of started coming through. And by creating a practice, which is something we talk about a lot here at Star Potential, it's about cultivating a practice. This isn't something you do once or twice and suddenly you have all these alarming revelations about your life and the truth of your reality and existence. No, it often comes with a dedicated practice that there are many mornings that nothing really comes of it, but it was just my practice. It's like going to the gym. You don't go to the gym a couple times a week and expect to see major results in your body. No, anybody who goes to the gym once in a while knows, I don't know, I tried that going to the gym thing. It didn't really do much for me. We go to the gym consistently because you must put in the work consistently in order to see the long-term progress and the results. It is taking place incrementally over time, but sometimes we can't see it until we look back and go, oh, wow, I've come pretty far, actually. So with any of these spiritual practices, it's kind of the same idea. When you begin to cultivate the practice of meditating every day, you begin to see that it is only when you meditate, when you sit down to meditate without the expectation of anything coming from it, when you actually have breakthrough meditations. It is only when you have committed to the practice of writing in your journal every morning for weeks do you begin to actually start having something come through you that allows you to see some pattern in your life that you've never recognized before. So we don't do it, you cannot do it with the attachment to the outcome that something is coming from this. But the funny thing is, when you do it just for the sake of doing it, for the cultivation of the practice, you will see the results come from it. You will recognize the patterns from it. You will notice change in your life. You will go through total transformation, and you won't even see it happening because it happens gradually, but it's compounding all the time. It's like that book, Atomic Habits. We make these 1% changes all the time, and it feels like nothing. But you look back over time and look how those have compounded into a complete and utter transformation. And so that's what we talk about a lot here. And if you want to begin to have your own working knowledge of what's true and what's real for you, you must have the bravery to question. You must have the bravery to walk through those things on your own. You must get comfortable with feeling a little bit uncomfortable, because if you're not willing to do that, you will never grow and change. A little bit of hard truth for you today. I would love to hear what practices you have put into your life that have been sometimes challenging for you. For me, it's the meditation piece. I go through these phases where it's hard for me to commit to getting up first thing in the morning and just sitting and doing nothing. That's how it feels to my ego, right? Like, okay, there's so many things I need to be doing, but I'm sitting down and doing nothing because I believe in the importance of this practice. And when I sit down with the expectation of it doing something for me, that's when it never does anything for me. It's only when I can sit down with no expectation and no amount of clinging to the outcome that I actually have these transformative and revelatory meditations. And that's kind of the catch-22 of the whole thing. So let me know, what are your favorite practices that you are cultivating that sometimes feel like you're doing nothing? And I'd love to hear how you looked back and saw the needle come forward in some of these areas. Let's talk about it. We have a Facebook group called Star Potential Galaxy. You can always send me a text from the show notes, and you can always send me a direct message on Instagram as well. I love hearing your personal takeaways from these episodes and how they are helping you to transform in your life. Have a great day and see you next time. Thank you for tuning into Star Potential with Julie Jo Hughes. If this episode resonates with you, I invite you to take 2 seconds, scroll down and click 5 stars on the rating. It's a fast and easy way to help the show gain exposure and momentum. If you're loving the show, I invite you to leave a quick review about what you love. Reviews are like gold to podcasters. And to show my gratitude, you'll be entered to win my monthly giveaway when you send me a screenshot of your review. I also made you a gift. It's a 9-minute simple gratitude meditation with singing to help you practice mindfulness. Just visit me on Instagram at @TheJulieJo or find the link in the show notes. Thank you for your love and support. Until next time, keep shining your light. And that's a wrap.